So, how big is yours?
5 inches.
That's about average. How'd you like 6 inches?
6 inches.
6 inches? That would be a big improvement.
A 6-inch package from Prairie 6-inch eaves trough is made specifically for your farm building. 6-inch eaves troughs are more durable and efficient during storms. They're family owned and operated, so you'll get an honest installation at a fair price. Prairie 6-inch eaves trough, your farm shop specialist. Call 570-6415.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
And this is Don Hewitt filling in for Barney this afternoon. Of course, Sports Cage is brought to you by Regina Motor Products. We have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to start off with Dan Neer, the commissioner of the Western Hockey League. We're very fortunate to have Dan. We're going to talk about a number of topics, including how much fun he had in Moose Jaw when he handed the Edgemouth Cup to the Warriors a little over a year ago. The voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Dave Thomas, will update us on rider injuries at the bottom of the clock. Frank McChrystal enters the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. He'll join us at 4:05, the legendary Rams coach. Brendan McGuire, we're going to talk to Brendan about two very controversial topics in the world of sports, so that'll be interesting. And Keith Willoughby, of course, sports analytics from the University of Saskatchewan, and are analytics taking over from the eyeball? Well, maybe it's a mix, maybe they are. We're going to talk about with Keith about the GM of the Carolina Hurricanes, who's a non-hockey guy. He's like a PhD in physics, but he's an expert in analytics. We'll be talking about that at about 5:05. Well, Western Hockey League Commissioner Dan Neer joins us on the cage. Dan's resume was impressive before he took his current job. He worked for over a decade in the NHL's marketing department before becoming the global head of hockey for Adidas. Dan took over the commissioner's job from Indian Head's own Ron Robinson in February of last year. Go down to Indian Head. Lots of people still know Ron and remember him very well. A few months later, as I said earlier, Dan, you handed the Edgemouth Cup to the Western Hockey League champion Moose Jaw Warriors. I was there. It was so thrilling. That's the one time I've seen you live. So what's it like? That was your first one. You've now done another to Medicine Hat, but what's it like, or what did you feel like that particular night when you gave the Warriors the cup?
Well, I think that there were a whole bunch of feelings, but the first one was elation for the community. You think of what the Western Hockey League represents in all of the towns and communities in which we operate, and been there a long time without a championship, right? A number of the Saskatchewan teams have had some success, but Moose Jaw never won. And the idea of winning in your home building, seeing the tears and the chills that are running down, and walking out behind the RCMP officers, and with that historic trophy, it was a very special moment for me. And I've had the privilege of being at a number of NHL Stanley Cups over the years. And believe it or not, one of my first jobs in sports at the NHL was when the guys won the cup, I'd run out and give them their championship hat.
You're kidding.
And one of the first ones was a Western League alumnus, Ryan Getzlaff in Anaheim in 2006.
From
my
Regina.
Very first year. And I remember being out there and being at ice level in that moment. You realize what it means for the fan base, what it means for the players, what it means for their families. And getting to do that every year is honestly like the highlight of the year.
Yeah.
A lot of hard things that happen over the course of the year, but handing out the trophy is pretty special.
Well, and the thing is, you're sharing, in many cases, one of the best moments of these players' lives. A lot of them won't go on to play pro. Even if they do play pro, they'll always hearken back to that moment, and they'll always remember you. Like, you're going to be immortalized for every player in the Moose Jaw Warriors, and probably a lot of people in the stands like myself and Moose Jaw, which is sort of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I that day, or maybe it was a day before, I went into a local shoe repair in Moose Jaw, and first of all, they recognized me and the brand new commissioner. I thought that was kind of cool. But more importantly, the woman that worked there was a billet mom. Her son was an official in the league. The other guy that worked there played in the league, and we represent a lot to communities. And the idea that on that night or any given night in the Western League, the whole community is tuned in to the sport and into the game. That's something that professional sports really can't say the same way that we can. And it really is a reflection of what we mean to Western Canada. And again, I'm very, very privileged to be part of it.
Well, hopefully with Maddox Schultz coming to Regina, you'll be here shortly in a few years for the Pats. We'll see how that works out. Well, Dan, it's sort of old news already. As of November, CHL players can now move to the NCAA once they finish high school. And some prominent players, of course, have already done that. As we know, is it fair to say these players moving south are making all the headlines while a large number of players that are staying in the CHL, nobody's talking about that? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is fair, and it's a really interesting time. It's funny, the very first player was a Regina player, Braxton Whitehead, who even before the rule change said he's going to go down to Arizona State, and he's an overage player. And at the time we said, hey, this relieves attention around players at 14, 15 years old having to decide if the NCAA or major junior is the path they want to take. Now they can do both. And I give everyone involved a lot of credit because it's a tough decision to make, and everyone's trying to establish what is the best development path for them. And what I would tell you is I've never heard anyone complain that, oh, the biggest mistake I made is I stayed in the Western Hockey League too long. No one has ever said that. I have heard the other way, right? I've heard guys that have left early or gone on to other pastures and said, hey, it didn't work out as well as I thought. But this thing will normalize. We'll get a better sense of what the future development path looks like. But what's important to recognize is we view ourselves as a league that develops you to be a professional hockey player.
Right.
If you need more time, U Sports is there. NCAA is now there. But it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think this trend that we're seeing in the world right now, finish high school as fast as you can, get to the NCAA as fast as you can. Everybody's in a rush to do everything. But I'll tell you what, the development experience on and off the ice, but also the life experience you build living with billets and working with your education advisor and riding the bus with your teammates. We put a lot of stock in the character that builds for these young men and puts them in a position to succeed down the road.
WHL Commissioner Dan Neer joins us on Sportscage. We're going to talk about what happened in the first round of the last NHL draft in just a moment, because that made your point very obvious. A few weeks ago, you probably know him, Jerry Johansson of the Sports Corporation, joined us on the cage, and his general message was that everything would adjust and the quality of play in the Western Hockey League would remain very strong. His feeling was the NHL, or rather the Western Hockey League, will now recruit a larger number of elite younger players, including Americans, at one end, at the younger end, and at the other end, you may lose a few elite players towards the end of their junior career. So at this point, Dan, are you seeing more and stronger younger players coming into the CHL and Western Hockey League?
Yeah, a year ago, we were spending time when we talked about recruitment. We were saying, okay, we want 100% of the top end Canadian talent. And I think we want to increase the number of Americans who look at major junior as the path. Now we're in a spot where everyone understands that Western Hockey League is the place you would want to be, no matter what trajectory you want to be on, whether you want to go to college, whether you want to go to the NHL, whether you want to do something else. The very best players all want to be here. And so I think that the configuration of the league will look a little different in this year as it relates to the high caliber young players that at other points in time may not have been sure whether they wanted to follow the major junior route. On the older end of the spectrum, certainly the data points are there that suggest wow, there's been some good players who are experimenting with the NCAA route. I think this one is just a story that is going to take a little bit of time to bear out. I think a couple things are going to happen. We're going to understand, how does it work out for a 19-year-old third-round NHL pick to go and play in a 35-game environment, move across the world to the East Coast of the U.S. and is he going to be welcomed in? Is the lack of playing in playoff series going to impact the way that he needs to develop to be an NHL player? What are the different aspects or attributes of that experience that are positive, and which ones might be better served being in junior hockey at 18 and 19 years old? And it's a story that's yet to play out. On the front end, though, we know that it's going to benefit us. On the back end, it's going to take some time.
Well, at the NHL draft in June, 32 players, of course, selected in the draft. 21 came from the CHL, which is almost a record, I believe, including 9 from the Western Hockey League. So the WHL did so well. A dominating statement as to who develops NHL players, as you said. So when you're looking at maybe more coming in and the odd one leaving, have you talked about, would you add another older Euro? Would you add another 20-year-old? Or do you really care at all about that?
It'll take time. We are adding a Euro. So the CHL made a decision to permit a third Euro this year. And there were a lot of things that have gone into that. And, in some instances, you're trying to take your time and see how things play out. In the other instances, like, hey, let's be opportunistic and make sure that we, have enough spots for the best available players. And we think there's room for a third Euro. We've added a team in Penticton. We're planning to add a team in Chilliwack. And so the player pool, needs to expand to accommodate that. And I do think we'll see some of that. But to your point around the success in the NHL draft, to me, that's what I think young high-end players need to understand, is that if you want to be drafted into the NHL, which is what most people would view as their number one goal as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, the Western Hockey League is where you want to be, and it should be a target and a goal for you. And we're going to create an environment and an ecosystem that enables you to develop to that level. And then once you are drafted, prepare you for whatever that next step is going to be as well.
Now, I'm sure you talk to general managers in the Western Hockey League, and from time to time, I would guess that job, being a GM of a Western Hockey League team, has never, ever been even remotely as busy as it is now. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I'm the new kid on the block, and so you'll have to get a couple of them on and have them trade some more stories. But I think that it is more complex. I think the recruiting territory is bigger. The competitive landscape is trickier. The importance of delivering a really high-end player experience, whether that's the type of catering and nutritional value that we offer, the strength and conditioning experience, the skills coaching, all of these things that you're trying to plan around your team, in addition to just, building the right squad, is tricky. And, ask Victoria. They've had a couple of guys that they didn't expect to leave go off to choose NCAA this year earlier than any of us would have anticipated. And it's a shock to the system. And I think that it's going to shorten recruitment cycles and, and teams are going to make bigger plays earlier on, knowing that there's less certainty. I think we're used to living in a world where someone came to us at 15, 16, and we were pretty sure they were staying through 19 and maybe through 20. And with those changes, I think the general managers are all going to figure out, how do I build my team? How do I configure my roster so I have the necessary tools to be a successful club and to have sustainability over multiple years?
Now, you're bringing in a smaller market team with a Penticton V's, so I'm assuming you're confident in trying to improve a player's sort of experience in the Western Hockey League. You're confident that the younger, or rather the smaller markets, can also do that. They can compete with larger ones in trying to improve the experience for the players, are you?
So, I don't know if I draw a correlation between the size of the market and the player experience. We're certainly, it'll be different in a large city versus a small community, but I think we're trying to select communities that care about hockey, that have a long, strong legacy and history in supporting the sport that fit into our travel model. Of course, you think about Penticton, and there's certainly a travel convenience with the BC division and even into the U.S., clubs like Wenatchee and Spokane and Seattle and Everett. And, and I think that plays well as far as, what are you looking for when you contemplate a team? And you add that to the fact that they have some of the very, very best facilities in Western Canada and are accustomed to creating a player environment for young men and players who aspire to go to the NCAA one day if they don't make the NHL. They're going to be a good fit for all of those reasons. And their franchise is historic. The V's have great legacy and history. They've got a great leadership group who know what they're doing.
Well, I looked up V's, and I was surprised to hear that it's a variety of a peach in the Okanagan. That's what V's apparently means, which I thought, that's interesting. Now, you've now got a president of the CHL, Dan McKenzie, along with the three commissioners, you being one of them, of the WHL, OHL, and the Quebec Maritime Junior League. Has this NCAA situation, has it brought you closer? Like, has it brought the three CHL leagues closer, do you think, Dan?
Well, the CHL as a whole, like that, the entity out of Toronto, Dan McKenzie's organization, they do a tremendous job at scaling things together when we want to be a collective. So whether that's the Memorial Cup or the prospect game, the NHL draft, or driving commercial value of our intellectual property, they are fantastic partners in that. What I would say about bringing the commissioners closer together, the NCAA probably hasn't hurt that, but as you probably know, all three of us flipped after really long-standing tenures, from Ron in our league, Dave Branch in Ontario, and Gilles Courteau in Quebec.
Yes.
So you got the three new guys, all of whom are new to the junior hockey space. Like, I've been in hockey my whole career, but not in a junior hockey capacity. And so I think that we all have a new mindset and a new idea of what we think collaboration looks like. And we really do see ourselves as peers, we're not competitors, so to speak. We work together a lot. We ideate around, hey, well, what could we do to generate better scale and make our sport bigger? And then we also make vastly independent decisions when we think we need to do something that's in the interest of our territory or our clubs. And so it's a really good working relationship. I talk to Dan and the commissioners virtually every day. And it might be on an issue around the imports. It might be an issue around a rule, or it might be something around the NCAA, and we're thrilled to do it.
Now, you talk about you'll make independent decisions. The Quebec Maritimes League has banned fighting as of last year, a year ago. Where does the Western Hockey League stand on that at the moment?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think that the player safety is always top of mind, and if we monitor data, and we monitor the trajectory of fights in our league, and we keep a very, very close eye on it. We don't like unnecessary fights. We do have incremental penalties for multiple fight situations, for staged fights, for instigator, and so we do take that seriously. But at the same time, I think that we pride ourselves in developing players to be ready for the National Hockey League. And in most cases, we try to emulate the rule framework as much as we can. And at the moment, fighting is a part of the NHL game. And we think that, we, in a way, we'd be doing players a disservice to be ill-prepared going into the NHL, having to look at a different environment in that regard. And so at the moment, it's not a topic of discussion as it relates to making any kind of significant change.
Well, it was a bold move by the Quebec Maritimes, Junior Hockey League for sure. Did they get any blowback from the NHL? You talk about it's a fact of life in the NHL. Did the Quebec Maritimes League hear about it, or how did that evolve behind the scenes, or can you even say?
Well, it happened before my time. I think it's better you have Mario on, and he'll tell you all the reasons they've found it to be successful. It is a matter we talk about, and whether we should move independently or together on this. And at the moment, this is one that we like how we're doing it, and we're sticking with that for the time being.
Now, as you said, a year from now, Chilliwack also enters the league. And so you'll have, the most teams of any CHL league. You already do. What would you say to the people that say, well, you've got more teams than Quebec, the second most populated province in Canada. You've got more teams than Ontario, the most populated province in Canada. How can we win the Memorial Cup? Or, being that you've got more teams, dilute the product? Or does it matter because all teams do once they get into Memorial Cup is they just make trades and, sort of bring in all as many top players as they can. So does it matter or does it matter? I guess that's the question.
So I think that there's a reasonable argument to be made that less teams strengthens the player pool and in turn could give you a better shot at winning the Memorial Cup. I probably would also say that in the Western League, we're so fiercely competitive with one another. We beat each other up pretty good by the time we get there. And there's no courtesy in trades or player movement because we're trying to enable our territory to win. Even our playoff format, we often have clubs going interdivision in the first round and playing a best-of-7 series across vast distance. I think there are a whole bunch of variables that influence whether you're going to be competitive to win a Memorial Cup. But what I think we've got going for us and a good data point or reference point certainly is the NHL draft, but also certainly is Hockey Canada's development programs. We have a lot of strong players in our pipeline. The players that we're recruiting right now to join the league at a younger age have never been better. And so I'm not really worried about dilution. I think that there's certainly a valid argument that it'll lessen our chances of winning the Memorial Cup. But look, I want to have enough spots for all the great players to play. I want to have a vibrant and competitive league. I want rivalries between our markets. And if you think what Vancouver Chilliwack will be and what Penticton and Kelowna will be, this is going to bring a lot to the league. And so I think the lion's share of the stuff adds value for us.
Well, no other CHL league covers Portland to Brandon, that's for sure. So it's really, because of that, it's definitely a different situation, as you said, and that's very true. So you're a year and a half into your job now. Any surprises, good or bad, since you've taken over the job?
I think the biggest surprise in a role like this is it's nearly impossible to keep everybody happy. I've got a fiduciary responsibility to the owners, but I've got a responsibility to players and their parents. I've got a responsibility to fans. And with any decision, you never have unanimous support. And so you might think you've done a really great thing, but you might have 20% of your audience that thinks you've done it all wrong and you should have done it differently. I'm really grateful and thankful that I've been given some rope here. I think that the competitive landscape and the environment has prompted our league to say, hey, we're a really great league, but what are the things we can do to be better? I think that if you look at our new streaming product and Victory Plus, where we've really done something interesting as far as making the game accessible and available to fans across the country and across the world. We're raising our operating standards. We have a new partnership with Under Armour, which is exciting for us. Bauer's coming on as our new equipment supplier. The new Western Canadian model where players like Maddox Schultz are going to have a chance to play 34 games without necessarily committing 100% to junior hockey at 15. A lot has happened, and I think I'm surprised at how much has happened in the first year, but I wouldn't give any of it back. It's a lot of fun. It's challenging, but we got a lot to accomplish ahead of us.
Well, a former CFL commissioner who I won't name told me once, it's like herding cats. But anyway, being a commissioner. So how is your streaming business going? Because I'm starting to watch more and more Western Hockey League games streaming as the last few years, for sure, for my own self.
Out of the gate, it's been amazing. It's easy to have success in the playoffs because those are the games that everybody needs to watch. And so we're going to have to make sure we make people aware of what's going on. But when I think about moving fans into a higher degree of enthusiasm around our league, it starts with your home team, but it cascades. And if my home team's not playing, what else am I going to do that night? Am I going to binge, Breaking Bad on Netflix? Am I going to go watch the Winnipeg Jets or the Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL? Am I going to watch the Raptors? Or are the Tigers coming in next week? And I want to see them. And I think that the ease by which you can really immerse yourself in the WHL, we're just getting started. We are going to elevate the production and highlights and replays and pre and post game shows and those types of things. One of the things I'm learning from the young people in my household, who I have 3 teenagers, is they just watch whatever comes up next on their YouTube feed. And so the idea of behind the scenes content and get to know you with the players, these are all things that I think Victory Plus is going to put us in a position that gets people way more dialed in to the WHL than they ever thought they could be. I think we thought we had peaked, right? Because everybody in Moose Jaw was already watching all the Warriors games. But now this idea that they can watch all this ancillary content that we'll put on the channel, that they can watch the other teams in their division because they like the rivalries and are interested, and pay attention to what Landon DuPont's doing in Everett because he's the next up-and-coming star in the league. I think that that's a really interesting opportunity for us as we're trying to get fans to consume at the next level.
I sort of look at, one last question, I sort of look at the Western Hockey League like Major League Baseball in some respects too, Dan, because, nationally, you can argue how Major League Baseball is doing, but regionally, the local rivalries in Major League Baseball are still so healthy. And as I said, you cover half the entire country and another country in the Western Hockey League. Is sort of those regional rivalries, is that the engine of the league, do you think?
I think it's a big part of it. The communities are very proud. We are very local in nature, and you can be a fan of an NHL team, but also have a WHL team. And it's an additional layer of fandom. And it's something, in a lot of the places where we operate, there are no other sports teams that you can identify so closely with, and you can see the players at the grocery store, and and everyone is in your community. And I think that breeds a degree of rivalry, and we try and take advantage of that as much as we can with fan buses and road trips and that kind of thing. And it's really unique and cool about our league, and again, it's a real privilege.
Well, thank you very much, Dan Neer, the Western Hockey League Commissioner, joining us on Sportscage. That was very interesting. Had a lot of fun. You're going to have a great year, I'm sure. And as I said, see how Maddox Schultz does in Regina. And a lot of people are very excited about Maddox Schultz coming along. And hopefully you're here in a few years, like I said. But nothing against the Warriors and the Broncos. We cheer for them, too. So, anyway, have a good afternoon. Have a good afternoon.
Good stuff.
Then Sportscage continues in just a moment.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
We'll look back at some of the big shakers and movers of the country music scene. Some cats reinvented themselves. Others, they did what works for them the best. We'll feature the top 25 on your Country Music Rewind.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1. On Country's Greatest Hits. 620 CKRM.
Milligan Bio has a need for seed, and they want your heated and damaged canola today. Milligan Bio, a locally owned Canadian company based in Foam Lake, has space available for your canola and is accepting immediate delivery. Get that damaged canola out of your bins and put the cash in your pocket. Call Milligan Bio now at 272-6284. That's 272-6284 to arrange your delivery or on-farm pickup. MilliganBio.com.
Hey, let's hit up Pump Jack's Cathedral.
Pump? You talking about my basketball shoes?
No, Pump Jack's Cathedral.
Who?
Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. They're open now. They've got a large selection of local draft and food and drink specials. Kids are allowed until 8. There's live entertainment every weekend.
Let's go. I'm pumped.
On the corner of Albert and 13th, Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. Come early, stay late. The place where friends meet. The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC. Did you know over 1.3 million homeowners call on Reliance for their water heater needs? With over 140,000 five-star online reviews and over 60 years experience, you could say Reliance Heath are water heater experts. Switch to Reliance Heath today. They'll give you $200 plus standard installation is included. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance. Visit waterheaterrentals.com for details. Terms and conditions apply.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. Combined with a LiftMaster opener, it's the right choice. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. And a LiftMaster opener. 100% made by Canadians for Canadians. Steady, tariff-free pricing and great quality, no matter what.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
Saskatchewan, it's time to talk sports. Sportscage is on the air. Be part of the show. Call 936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. And we're always online at sportscage.com. 620 CKRM.
And it's Don Hewitt back with the cage. I'm joined by the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the play-by-play voice, Dave Thomas, who has done nothing but been a good luck charm for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'll tell you why. Because as soon as he showed up, the team improved. So, Dave, what are you doing right there? You're doing something that's affecting the team, maybe even on the field.
I take zero credit, absolutely whatsoever, because then I have to take all the blame if it goes the other way.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, things have gone well since you've showed up. Now, it's crazy. The Riders 6-1 for just the fourth time in CFL history. 1970, they were 6-1. They lost a weird game in the Western Final. Larry Robinson boots a field goal in frigid conditions against the wind. Ron Lancaster couldn't play. Gary Lane scored a touchdown. They didn't count because nobody could see the goal line. Anyway, 1970, they should have been in the Grey Cup. They weren't. Then 2008, they were 6-1. But unfortunately, Calgary was a powerhouse, and the Riders actually, I believe, lost to BC in the semifinal. In 2013, they had the same record, 6-1, and of course, we don't have to talk about what happened in 2013. So, I mean, what I like about it, they've got this historic start. Oh, that's from Rob Vanstone, by the way. Give him the credit for those stats. But it's interesting because what I like and what I hear, and you know more about this than I do, is that all they really talk about is, no, forget 6-1. We just want to improve.
That's to a man what the messaging is right now with the Rough Riders, is that we want to improve. And it's funny, you've been around the community for a long time. And again, the limited interactions that I've had with my neighbors and the people that I've been meeting, there's sometimes you would almost swear that we were 1-6 instead of 6-1. And I don't know if you get the same thing or not, because things could have gone, a couple of different ways in a couple of different games, but again, a win is a win is a win. And I know that there's a lot of teams that would be absolutely going head over heels to try to get to 6-1.
Well, and the point is, if you take a look at the game against Edmonton, they lose, the Riders, they lose in net offense, not by a lot, but they had less net offense. They had, Edmonton had the edge in turnovers by 2 turnovers, and yet they still won the ball game. And my message is, forget the negative Normans, forget the negative Nellies. This team knows how to win. They figure it out, do they not?
Yeah, absolutely. How many times do you hear that in sports, that good teams find ways to win and become great teams? So this team has done that. And you go back to that Edmonton game, and I know we don't want to probably talk about that one too much, but end of the day, let's face it, the team was stopped on the goal line once. They also went ahead and they missed a field goal, and they also went ahead and they had one busted play in the fourth quarter that turned into a touchdown. So not bad stats when you consider what coulda, shoulda, maybe would have been. But again, end of the day, it's a W.
Well, I'm a real believer in time of possession determines football games. I think you are too. And the Riders actually lead at both ends of time of possession in the CFL right now. As you likely know, you know more about the Riders than I do, but stats-wise. But, the offense has been on the field the longest of any team in the CFL, and the defense has been on the field the shortest. If that keeps up, good things are going to happen, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And you look at their touchdown drive percentage, 19% of the time that they get an offensive possession, they put it into the end zone, which is incredible because it even dropped a little bit, because had they scored last week, it would have been up over 20% on that 3rd and 1. I keep not wanting to dwell upon that. So you're right. The numbers prove that this is a good team. And again, they've been faced with their share of adversity, but there's maybe a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to some of the injuries that they've faced up front. And I'm not sure if that's going to come to fruition here this week against the Montreal Alouettes, but long term, I think that after this bye week, it's going to maybe look a little different.
Well, I mean, one game and they go from lower down to leading the league in sacks. I mean, that's quite a turnaround, and what a coming out party for Shane Ray as a Rough Rider. And it was a coming out party, and you know what, Dave? We were all invited. And Shane Ray was just, his other buddy, Malik Carney, well, we already know about him, how good he is, but Shane Ray, according to PFF, 8 total pressures to go along with 2 sacks. So 25% of the time he was putting pressure on. And that's the guy that we saw in Toronto. And those two, Ray and Carney's number 1 in his position on the defensive line in PFF too, which is an analytic, as you know. Those two dudes put on a show. I mean, I don't want to talk too much. We'll get to your interviews right away, but about a game last week. But oh my goodness, what a show from those two dudes.
And both of them say it's only just begun. Right. And the fact that they think they're going to get better because they're starting to feel each other. They've got nonverbal cues going on. And the one thing, don't forget up the middle, Mike Rose and Micah Johnson, they're taking double teams. And so if you've got to double team those two guys on the inside, well, guess what? That's going to free up somebody somewhere. And that's how 8 sacks occurred last week. And it's just incredible. Again, it was 4-man rush that the Riders went predominantly. There was a couple of blitzes, and those blitzes both got home. So those are great, solid signs. They're going to have their work cut out for them this week in Montreal, and an offensive line that I think is very, very good and maybe even a little bit underestimated. So that front four, there's no hiding now. Everybody knows what they can do, and they know that they just need to go ahead and show that they can continue to do it on a continuous basis, but also on a consistent basis.
And one of the more underrated players on that line is Baldonado, is he not? I mean, he's clearly backing up 2 great defensive ends at the moment, but he's always in there as a global player when he gets in there, Dave.
Absolutely. And the Rough Riders love his ability to rush the quarterback. So you'll see him come in on passing downs predominantly, because when he can pin his ear back and do what he does, he is a disruptive force. Now, he's taken some penalties, which, again, can be a tad frustrating for the coaching staff along the way, but predominantly he's able to disrupt the quarterback. So even if he's not racking up a sack, the number of pass disruptions that he's got on the defensive line against the opposition's pass game is huge. And again, get the quarterback off his mark and make him do something spectacular. And he's one of the guys that's able to go ahead and do that. And again, oftentimes when the quarterback is under duress, spectacular doesn't always happen.
And he proves that global players aren't just punters. He can play football. You know what I mean? I'm going to throw it to you now, Dave, because you were at practice today. I'm just going to throw the show to you for a minute, and you can go through all the folks that you talked to today and update us with the Rider injuries.
Absolutely. And of course, that was the biggest concern yesterday when 9 players were limited or did not practice yesterday for the Roughriders. I know that there was a lot of Chicken Little that the sky was falling. Today, most of those players were actually able to get back out on the turf, which was a great sign. The one player, though, noticeably absent was Samuel Emelis. And let's go through the conversation that I had with Coach Mace following practice today. And he was kind enough to give us an update on Samuel Emelis, whether or not he's going to go on the 6-game injured list or what it's looking like.
They're going to be kind of tough for Sam probably this week. But again, we've been in this situation before. But, we'll get more information.
As far as the guys go that were on the field, CJ Rivas was back in the defensive secondary. Malik Carney was back up front along the defensive line. On the offensive line, we saw Zach Fry. Now, again, Zach was involved in a car accident with some of his teammates last week, and it was a scary, scary situation after having what was described to me and could have turned out way, way worse than it did. So thankfully, he was back on the field. He was limited in his reps. He was kind of splitting with Noah Zare a little bit. So I don't know whether Zach Fry is going to be able to go or not. But those are the big ones. And Coach Mace was happy to have some company back at practice with those players that were able to get back on with cleats.
It's good to have some guys back. Some things are just maintenance, being smart. But like I said, there's, regardless if there's guys going this week or not, we've had enough turnover on this roster that most likely being replaced with somebody who's made some plays for us and played some good football. So however we line up, we'll be confident in that and ready to rock.
Now, Don, forgive me. I believe it was you that asked me last week about Sean Bain Jr. because for the last couple of weeks, he's been a full participant in practice, of course, recovering from that late season knee and leg injury that he sustained last year. He wasn't put on the 6-game injured list at the start of the year. He's just been working his way back, and now he's, like I say, been a full participant, although it's on the scout team that he is primarily going ahead and working right now. So we thought we'd get some clarification from Coach Mace if he has been a full participant for this week as well as much of last week. Does that mean that he's okay to get into game action?
Yeah, I think, it's more just making sure that, he's fully confident. He caught a nice pass today, too. It was awesome to see. But, just doing our due diligence and making sure that, everything, all the stars align from that standpoint. But happy for Bain.
So now here's the question. Right now, the American receivers on the Saskatchewan Roughriders starting 5, you've got Joe Robustelli, you've got Dante Myers, right? Then you've got Canadian Tommy Neild, who's kind of in the spot of Samuel Emelis, right? You've got Del Duncan Busby that's out there as well. So Sean Bain Jr. is healthy or getting closer to healthy. What are you going to do? Because Keyshawn Johnson, of course, is the other American receiver that you've got in those 5. So what do you do? So, again, had to ask, Coach, is it going to be hard to get Sean Bain Jr. into the lineup with the great receiver play that you've had thus far from the group that's on the field?
Potentially. We'll look at that. We'll always look to see what the best matchup is for us. And, we feel, like I said, from training camp, we feel really good about the receiver depth. And certainly Sean's a part of that. So we'll see how it lines up. Obviously wouldn't be shocked if he's making plays like he did in his entire career at some point in this season. And when that time comes, he'll be ready.
Now, I'm pretty sure that Luke Mullender is going to be smiling from ear to ear because all through training camp, I really liked what Tommy Neild was doing. I thought he brought a veteran presence, had some stability. His height, right? You can't coach height. He's got a great length, great reach, great speed, and it seems to be a great understanding of the playbook. Of course, though, he was banged up late in camp and just couldn't get himself right until just a couple of weeks ago. So now he's been back. He was on the roster last week. And like I say, it looks like he's going to be likely taking Samuel Emelis' spot in Montreal if Sam can't go. So what does Tommy Neild bring to the team? We asked Coach Mace that exact question.
Yeah, big target, smart player, definitely knows how to fit in the zones. He can block around the box, and he can go up and make some plays. So he's had a good career to this point. Again, like I said last week, excited that we had an opportunity to go get him. And just familiarity with not only his system, but, he was actually able to work with Coach McDaniel at McMaster too. So a lot of things made sense for him and for us.
So there you go, Tommy Neild, and again, a shout out to McMaster, as I was supposed to point out. So there you go, Tommy Neild likely going to get into the lineup. But while he might get more targets this week. Of course, that would then filter down into Del Duncan Busby and Keyshawn Johnson and Dante Myers, and the list goes on and on. But in saying those names, there's one name that isn't being targeted as much, and that's Roland Milligan Jr. And I was actually asked last week on Edmonton radio whether or not he is slowing down, whether he is not at the Defensive Player of the Year pace that he was at. And I don't know, Don, you've had a chance to see him. To me, he just doesn't have as many opportunities to make plays.
Well, why would you pass the ball to anywhere near Roland Milligan? I mean, it's they're just, I think I'll go pass to near Roland Milligan and have a 50-50 chance of completing the pass. I mean, a lot of it is people will stay away from him, and for good reason. I don't see that Roland Milligan is slowing down in the least. I will say this. I guess you're going to throw to a Milligan interview, but I wanted to say this before about Keyshawn Johnson. He is becoming one of my favorite Rough Riders, Dave. I mean, he's number 4 in league receiving yardage, number 4. He had 3 difficult contested catches last week against Edmonton, which led the CFL in contested catches. I think Keyshawn Johnson, I love him. That's all I'll say. Anyway, back to Roland Milligan.
When it comes to Keyshawn Johnson, the best, worst kept secret in the CFL all of a sudden, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
There you go.
And he's just solid. He's reliable. And he's got great hands. Anyway, are you gonna run the Milligan clip or?
Sure. How about we go to Roland Milligan? What I'll tell you, though, is that Roland Milligan and Keyshawn Johnson have a lot of fun in practice going up against one another every day. But I asked Roland about his year and about the year of the defense.
Roland, 6-1 heading into this week in Montreal. Tell me where this defense and team is at in your eyes.
Still not good enough yet in my eyes. We still got to learn how to close out games on both sides. And it's just the work that we do during the week and then getting into those games and just focusing in a little bit more. But, 6-1, we're still 6-1.
A lot of people are saying we've got to finish. It's obviously easy to say, harder to do. Is it a mental thing? Is it a systems thing? What has to be done?
I think it's just more so on the players. Just being able to adjust to how they start attacking us late in games. We just got to be able to make those adjustments. And I don't know if it's conditioning for everybody or what the case is exactly, but I think the focus just has to be better.
Tell me about the secondary around you. It really seems like there's a lot of chemistry and you've really come together.
A lot of guys just talking and trying to build that chemistry, with D. Fields and TC and Reeve, and then, me and Sales, and then Nelly in between all of it. Just trying to learn what we're good at, what we're comfortable doing, and then working off of each other.
The plays that you're targeted are way down from this point this year to where last year. So when teams aren't attacking you, I don't know if that's a compliment or is it a frustrating point in the fact that maybe you don't get an opportunity to be as involved as you would want to be in each and every play?
A little bit of both. I'm playing football to try to make some plays, but it's a respect thing. I know guys around the league respect me, and in those situations I got to figure out how to insert myself in the plays too. So it's not just on them; it's on me too to get myself in position to make plays.
We all like having measuring sticks and talking about making statements. Is this game in Montreal any bigger than any other one that you've played thus far this year?
Yeah, it is. Next game, so it's the biggest game.
It's the biggest game, Don, and they'll, of course, take to the air on Friday to get out there in Montreal to take on the Alouettes on Saturday.
Well, you're in Montreal, Dave, so don't get into any trouble now. You be a good boy in Montreal on these road trips.
Trust me, I know where all the best libraries are.
Okay, Dave, the good luck charm of the Saskatchewan Roughriders since he took over the play-by-play job joins us, and now he's saying goodbye, and we're sad about that, but that's life. And you have a good rest of the day there, Dave, and Sportscage will continue in just a moment.
It's the perfect place to hold your event. It's the perfect place whether it's for a trade show, fundraiser, dance recital, company team building event, or off-site business meeting. It's the perfect place for your wedding with exceptional catering services, venues perfect for a group of any size, and plenty of on-site parking. The perfect place for your event is the Connexus Arts Center. Get all the details about hosting your next event at the Connexus Arts Center at connexusartscenter.ca. See you at the center. Peter's been in the field for hours already. I don't see Doug out there.
Oh, he's in the yard under his drill.
You've known the frustration in the past of not being ready for seeding. Dutch Ag wants to remind you to start preparing for next spring seeding season now by ordering your openers before July 31st and save the freight. And if you're not sure what you need, Dutch will come out to your farm to help you figure out which opener is best for you with their On Farm For You program. Visit DutchOpeners.com.
Looking to sell farm machinery or heavy equipment? At Asset Link, they do more than auctions. They listen. Whether you want to consign or a full auction sale, they help you choose what's right for your bottom line. Born and raised right here in Saskatchewan, they understand the land, the market, and the people who make it run. So when it's time to sell, link up with the team that knows the prairies best. Selling 365 days a year. Asset Link. Prairie strong, customer focused. AssetLink.ca.
Get ready, Saskatchewan! The wildest ride of the summer is back! The 38th Annual Herbert Stampede, August 1st to 3rd. 3 days of heart-pounding, CCA-approved rodeo action, bull riding, broncs, barrel racing, and more. Now with video replay, plus food booths, great entertainment, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the tradition, the thrill, the stampede! Herbert Stampede, August 1st to 3rd. Ride the legend at the Herbert Stampede.
If you have a garage door that's running a little rough, you should really have Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists, come out and repair it. Or it may need to be replaced altogether. Yeah, just call Busy Bee Doors, the local experts who have been in the business for many, many years, because they can fix or replace any commercial or garage door.
Honey, calling Busy Bee.
Good idea. Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance Heath today.
Well, the Toronto Blue Jays had lost 4 games in a row going into Baltimore this afternoon against the Orioles. And it was, I thought they had it in the bag, but they didn't. They eventually won 9-8 to snap that 4-game losing streak. The lucky part of the 4-game losing streak was the Yankees weren't winning all of their games either. And so as we speak, top of the American League East, the Blue Jays are 4.5 games up on the New York Yankees.
Every Sunday morning, wake up to country music legends on 620 CKRM. Sunday Morning Classics. Celebrate the legends that paved the way and define the heart and soul of country music. Relive the unforgettable classic hits and the legacy of country's greatest artists. Join us this Sunday and every Sunday as we honor the icons who brought country music to life. It's a journey through the rich history of country music. Sunday Morning Classics for Regina Funeral Home and Cemetery. Sundays at 8 a.m. on the Voice of Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
Hey, I just got Wi-Fi down here.
Oh, just down there in the corner by your mouse hole in the wall?
It's from Glasser's TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer. You should get it too.
I do. My entire house here is blanketed in fast, reliable Wi-Fi while getting security and safety tools to help me manage my connected home.
It covers all that space up there?
It sure does. In fact, I have enough to cover your space down there too, if I wasn't planning on setting a trap for you.
Oh.
Contact Glasser's TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Moosomin today.
The Regina Rams have been a football club since 1954, a team built on grit, pride, and tradition. With 70 seasons under their belt, the Rams' legacy runs deep, impacting thousands of fans, players, coaches, and families. You don't have to go far to find someone who has a connection to the team, a memory, a moment, and a story to tell. Join us for the Rams' 71st season. Whether it's your first game or your 100th, this year's story is still being written. Get your game tickets today at reginarams.com. It's football time. Go Rams.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did.
Down here, I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Elevate your baling experience with the Heston by Massey Ferguson 1 Series Round Baler. With a dependable, long-lasting design for challenging conditions and high-speed baling, this machine features swing-away net loading and an optional hydraulic drop floor for easy obstruction clearing. Quality hay production starts today with Heston by Massey Ferguson. See the Massey Ferguson 1 Series Round Baler at Nick's Service in Emerald Park. For more information, visit nickservice.com.
Experience the next level of cleanliness with B&Boa's Cleaning Services. We bring reliable service, eco-friendly practices, and flexible scheduling to homes, businesses, and industrial spaces. Whether it's your office, home, or warehouse, we'll have your space shining. B&Boa's Cleaning Services. From homes to industries, we clean with care. Visit bboascleaning.com.
From the towers to the tractors, country's greatest hits. 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM News. City Council has fired Regina's city manager, Nikki Anderson. Mayor Chad Baczynski shared the motion during Wednesday's meeting. It passed 10-1. Anderson had been on leave since April for personal reasons. She was hired in 2022 after Chris Holden was removed. The motion says she'll get severance. Ward 8 Councillor Shannon Zakidniak was the only vote against it. She said people are tired of staff getting fired and still being paid. Jim Nickel stays on as acting city manager, and Amber Ackerman remains acting city clerk for now. RCMP say the number of break-and-enters in Saskatchewan has slightly increased by 2% this year. Mounties say break-ins of buildings such as sheds and abandoned houses are the driving force behind the year-over-year increase. They say residential break-ins continue to decline, dropping 15% over the last decade. Staff Sergeant Jill McLaren says while RCMP can't speculate on the break-in numbers, it's important to report suspicious activity to police. Signs of resilience in the Canadian economy were enough for the Bank of Canada to leave its benchmark interest rate unchanged today, but U.S. trade uncertainty continues to loom over the central bank's decisions. The policy rate remains at 2.75% after a third consecutive hold. Governor Tiff Macklem says that decision came from a clear consensus.
The sad reality is that tariffs mean the economy is going to work less efficiently. It means, there's going to be less income. So there's going to be less consumption. So yes, the economy will resume growing, but it'll be on a permanently lower path. And in that sense, yes, the tariffs have a permanent effect on the economy unless they're removed.
Macklem says the economy is showing some resilience, but he also opened the door to lowering rates if growth slows more sharply. Rider Nation helped collect 41,994 pounds of food for the Regina Food Bank on July 25th. Fans gave food and money during the Purolator Tackle Hunger Game Day drive. The drive took place during the Riders' game against the Edmonton Elks. The Roughriders were recognized last year with the Chris Schultz Community Impact Award. Purolator says partnerships like this one have turned a small program into a national effort that has helped Canadian food banks for over 20 years. And a new survey suggests more than half of Canadians believe they didn't have enough information or needed more to cast their ballot in the last federal election. The Ipsos poll says 57% of respondents either believe they didn't have enough local news or could have used more to assess candidates back in April. Many respondents pointed to social media as among their most influential news sources, with 14% specifically citing Facebook, even though the social media site has banned news content in Canada. And the royal charter that formed Hudson's Bay about 355 years ago could be getting a new home.
The Canadian Museum of History says the Weston family of Loblaws fame wants to buy the document and donate it to the Quebec institution. The document, issued by King Charles II, gave the Bay rights to a vast swath of land spanning most of Canada and extraordinary power over trade and Indigenous relations for decades. The Bay put the charter up for sale to put a dent in the roughly $1 billion in debt it had when it filed for creditor protection in March. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
So your floor had a meltdown, flood, fire, pet incident, and the contractor says, "Don't worry, I've got a guy." Well, of course he does. At Flooring Superstore, they've been helping folks handle insurance claims for over 20 years. More of a DIY legend, their cash and carry stockpile is massive, and their bulk pricing is so good, it almost feels illegal. It's not. We checked. You should pick your floors, not your contractor's cousin. Flooring Superstore. Quality floor covering at the best price. FlooringSuperstoreRegina.ca.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50/50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50/50 is presented by ISC.
Precision Weather brought to you by Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks. 1865 McCarra Street. Precision Weather this afternoon. We are enjoying a beautiful day, a high of 24. Wind southeast, very light at 10 to 15 kilometers an hour. It's clear tonight with a low of 11. Tomorrow it's mostly sunny with a high of 26. And ironically, 26 is the normal high for this day of the year.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Back with Sports Cage, brought to you by Regina Motor Products. Don Hewitt filling in here for Barney, who is back tomorrow. Well, former Regina Ram player and head coach Frank McChrystal enters the Canadian Football Hall of Fame Friday, September 19th in Hamilton, along with 5 outstanding CFL players, offensive linemen, 2 of them, Brian Chu of Montreal and former BC Lion Jovan Olafoyu, wide receiver Jermaine Copeland, who played in Calgary, Toronto, and Montreal, defensive back Scott Flagel, he was a hard hitter of the Blue Bombers, along with linebacker and former Stampeder Darryl Hall. Frank enters the Hall in the Builders category, along with Glenn Johnson, he's a CFL legend, on-field official for 24 years and was later the man in charge of CFL officiating before entering the soccer business. And I'm going to see how Frank reacts, with his smile when I say this. He was one of the toughest, hardest hitting linebackers the Rams ever had out of Campion High School for 5 years. And there'd be pileups. Frank would get up and some other guy on the other team wouldn't get up quite often. Frank won't admit it, but he was one tough cookie when he played for the Regina Rams. And after his playing days ended, what's that?
I don't know about that, Don.
Well, I do because I watched
it. Pretty tough guys.
Well, that's true. There's just a lot of tough guys in that Ram linebacking core over the years, to say the least. Anyway, then Frank started a 36-year coaching career with the Rams. He never missed one single practice. That's amazing. We'll have to talk about that later. In '84, Frank became the head coach of the Rams. while they were still playing junior football. He won 7 Canadian Bowls in his first 15 years as the head man. It seemed like there was always banquets because the Rams kept winning so many national championships. There were like so many of them. In 1999, Frank, of course, still coached the Rams when they entered what is now called U Sports, representing the University of Regina. A year later, Frank led the U of R to the Vanier Cup, losing a heartbreaker to Ottawa. Well, the Rams, they got close this past year, but it's the only Vanier so far that the Rams have been in. Frank has won 3 Coach of the Year awards, 2 in junior, 1 in university. He retired after the 2014 season and entered the Regina Sports Hall of Fame with one of his best friends, Bernie Schmidt, in 2021. That's a long intro, Frank, but that's the way it is. That's what you did when a guy's been 42 years, or 41, with an organization. It's a long intro.
Yeah, you hang around long enough, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
It was kind of funny because I had some great messages from some Hilltops, if you can imagine. A guy named Kevin Scott that was actually, I played against him. Mm-hmm. We were about the same age, and I played against him when I was with the Rams, and he was with the Hilltops and coached against him. He was the head coach of the Hilltops in 1985 when they won the Canadian Championship. So it was kind of cool that he reached out to me and congratulated me. And it was Blake Bittner from Moose Jaw, who was a Hilltop, and Gene Mikowski, who you guys, any football guys know, who was a U of S Husky. That they all reached out and congratulated me, and I thought that was pretty cool and pretty nice.
That's the beauty of sports, isn't it? I mean, now the Hilltops are the big rival of the Thunder. I remember the rivalry. There's some legendary stories, including about you, Frank, about the rivalry you guys used to have with the Hilltops. And it was, I hate to use the word hate, but I think it was in the equation at times. Tell me about those days. Was it sort of like hockey where it was sort of wilder and crazier back in those days, these rivalries?
Yeah, I think it may have been. I know that we went into university. They talked about us in Manitoba, and in fact the U of S too. But in my experience with the things that I was involved with, the Hilltop Ram thing was pretty intense. Is a pretty intense thing, and I think it ended up obviously making each team better. And certainly we split a lot of Canadian championships over the years between the two teams. And, it ended up, I think as you kind of remove yourself a little bit more from it, and maybe even during, I think there's certainly a respect for each program. They had some great players and great coaches. And, like I mentioned, Kevin Scott and Dave Hardy and, and then the Sarge, Tom Sargent now, who I had a great relationship with. We played against him in junior in 1998, and then he stayed, obviously the Hilltops, he stayed coaching the Hilltops, but recruited a lot of players from the Hilltops to play with the Rams when they went to university. So great relationship, really respect those guys, and I think that we, like I said, I suggested, made each other better.
Now, you were with the Rams like a mind-boggling 41 years. Where's Tom Sargent? Is he going to beat your record? I mean, he's been there so long himself.
He's been there a long time. He's got to be pretty close to that. The Sarge, he's got to be pretty close to that. And the thing about the junior football is those guys are not paid. That like the Sarge, he was a teacher and a vice principal and a principal, and he goes out and each night and coaches football. I'm sure they practice when the Rams used to practice, and in some instances still do in the evenings. So, I mean, it's a long haul, and you don't get paid to do it. It's just something that you believe in. So, yeah. The Sarge is he's got to be pretty close to 40 if he isn't there already.
Well, after all of those years, are you going to say something? He's at 33. 33. Oh, he may not beat you.
It's 33.
Thank you,
Colson Schultz, not make
for
it
that.
then.
Yeah. Well, you never know. But I don't know how anybody. What's that? I don't know how anybody could beat 41 years. Anyway, now there's so much there's almost too many names to mention, I would think, Frank, after that many years. You were known for great speeches, including one you had to do on the field in BC once. I remember that something happened. I can't remember the story, but you were actually, quite an orator. And so many players would say, well, Frank got us charged up at halftime, and then you came back and won. So what was the key to your speeches, and can you apply that now to your acceptance speech in Hamilton?
Well, a couple things. It's funny because guys say, when I see them years later, like guys like Marco Risi and Corey Borson and these guys, they're in their 50s, and some guys are into their 60s already. And they say, I remember when you said this, and I remember when you said that, and I go, that's cool because I don't remember saying that. So I really I don't know. Yeah, people suggest that, but I don't know. And in terms of applying it to an acceptance of this award, I think it's really I'm feeling a little awkward and a little anxious about it, to be quite honest with you, Don, because it's really a we award, and it's not a me award. It's so many people contributed so much over the years, and you mentioned one of them, Bernie Schmidt, who was with me for almost all of that time. He might be at 38 years or something with the Rams instead of 41, but I mean it's been so many people contributed, and a good friend of both you and myself, Doug McKillop. Like he's still involved with the Rams, and so you've got directors and you've got coaches, and through their efforts, you have the good fortune of attracting great players. And those great players could be anyone from, John Ryan and Jason Claremont and Brendan Labatt, the guys like Akeem Hicks that you bring out of the States, and then some of the unsung heroes, like a guy that they don't talk about very much, but was just an unbelievable player for us, as a Corey Olnick, that played through the 90s and late 90s and into the university. So, I think the efforts of so many people to create an environment and a program, not just a team, but a program that allows and provides opportunity for people to realize their potential and to seek out greater potential, or that potential that they didn't know they had, I think is a real tribute to the program as a whole. And that's what my hope is to communicate when I am at this awards ceremony that they're going to have in September.
I just walked through the U of R the other day for the first time in 40 years. I flunked out of the U of R, by the way. I'll come clean. And I remember, I never opened up a book the whole time I was there. But there's a huge mural there now, Frank, with players that went right to the NFL from the Regina Rams, 5 of them. You were involved with all of them. Tell me if I've missed anybody. Devon Campbell, who's first with the Riders now, John Ryan, Brett Jones, Akeem Hicks, and Stephon Charles. That's the 5, right? I haven't missed anybody?
Yes, yeah.
So
that's
how
the 5. And I mean,
how did you do that?
Amazing.
How did you pull that off?
Well, we had some great players, and I mean, another guy that would have been there is Brendan Labatt. But Brendan Labatt, they wanted to sign him with the Raiders, and then they had the strike that year, and so Brendan said, you know what, I'm gonna stay here in the CFL. But Brendan Labatt he would have played in the NFL. Absolutely. I agree. No question. So I mean, the thing is, we had some really good players and some players that were capable and able to play at that level, but you can't be shy about it. You've got to pursue and promote. I mean, I phoned the Senior Bowl. I can't remember the name of the guy that was running the Senior Bowl at that time, about John Ryan, and say, and the guy was really good. And he said, you know what, Coach, I appreciate you calling, and we'll keep it in mind to have a Canadian here, but we've already got the punting position filled. And then, Johnny Ryan goes on to have an unbelievable career in the NFL and a Super Bowl and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you just got to, you got to pursue it and promote your players and believe in yourself. And I think be honest too, I mean, I'm not going to, I'm not going to send a guy and talk about a guy that can't play or that I'm not sure can play.
Yeah.
But, if you keep doing it and then they get noticed, Stephon Charles ended up in the NFL as much as anything because they knew Akeem Hicks. And so they're watching film, videotape, and they see Akeem and they go, well, who's this kid? Well, it's Stephon Charles. And then, when Brett Jones was coming out, talked about Brett Jones to these guys and said, hey, he played at the same time. And I actually talked to Akeem and said, what do you think, Akeem? And he says, for sure, Brett can play in the NFL. So I think you got to talk about it, and you got to believe in yourself and believe in your players and be honest with the people that, make those decisions. And, certainly some of them miss the boat, on things like that. Like we talk about the Riders. I mean, the Riders, they miss Brendan Labatt, John Ryan, Brett Jones, and I'm not bad mouthing the Riders at all. I'm just saying that sometimes, in fact, the guys that made those decisions at that time are not there anymore, but they missed Jason Claremont, man. I mean, and, they missed him, some of the guys that were making the decisions at that time missed him twice, so he's a terrific, those guys are terrific players, but you got to believe in them and you got to promote them and you have to be straight and honest with the people.
Well, some of these players that you sent to the NFL made millions. Well, they all did because it's the NFL. It's too bad you didn't get a cut there, Frank. A little bit. How about 5% or something?
There's an agent named Frank Murtha that dealt with a couple of the players, Akeem and Brett. And he got the cut. I didn't get the cut. I got a jersey. I got a jersey from the New Orleans Saints, and and when I finished coaching, they always wanted me to go down and watch them, but I couldn't get down there when I was coaching because of the season and then because of recruiting and everything else. Yeah. So, when I finished coaching, I said, I'll go and watch you guys. And so I did go and they gave me a ticket. So I got into the NFL game.
Instead of a pile of money, you got a ticket. That's,
exactly.
I mean, you had so many great junior teams, phenomenal. But I remember the 2000 Vanier Cup, like it was yesterday, everybody cheering for the Rams against Ottawa GGs. Yeah. And the gutsy effort that some of your players made in that game that were quite badly, in some cases, injured. Maybe talk about that. Like there was guys that were really gutting that game out, weren't there?
Well, and it was really a challenge that season, that whole season. And you have to appreciate when we went into from junior football to university football, we were playing against guys. For example, that year, St. Mary's, they had a bunch of guys from junior football in the West. Blake Nill was the coach, and he recruited a bunch of guys from the Huskies and so forth, from the Edmonton Huskies junior team. And we were playing guys that we had played 3 and 4 years before. We had young guys, and we were playing guys. We played against guys that were into their early 30s. And we had Jason Claremont. I think Jason was about 20 then, and Neil Hughes was 19. They were unbelievable players and tough guys. And then so not only did we have to travel and win these games, but the traveling from here out of Regina, as anybody will know that wants to go any place, is pure hell. And I think as much as anything, we just got about 3 points tired, and that's what caused us to not get that game done, that Vanier Cup. But man, we really those young guys really did gut it out, And I think there was one year, for example, there was a lot of whining going on from some of the university coaches back at that time. And there was one year that the team that won the Vanier Cup had an older average age than the Indianapolis Colts who won the Super Bowl.
Oh, I believe it.
So,
back in that era.
Yeah,
yes,
it was.
I agree.
It was pretty crazy, you know.
Yeah.
But those young guys, man, you know, like I said, Neil Hughes runs back a punt and a kickoff against St. Mary's in the Atlantic Bowl. Jason Claremont catches a 2-point convert with a broken collarbone. Like these guys are really, really special guys.
Well, one game I really remember fondly is when you took on the Alberta Golden Bears when you were a junior team and beat them. You beat a university team as a junior team. And I remember everybody saying this is a joke. I mean, across the country, not so much here in Regina because people knew your reputation, but across the country, they thought it was a joke. And then you beat the Golden Bears. Tell us about that memory, because that was like shocking to many people across the country.
Yeah, I mean, they were the number 1 ranked university team in the country when we played them. It was early in September. And we had bumped into Jim Donlevy, who was their head coach, who was a really good guy and was a guy that always tried to promote football across the country. And I bumped into him we were at a football conference, coaching clinic, that kind of thing. And he said, we should have a game. And I go, yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. And,
crazy.
Yeah, we brought him, we paid for him to come to Taylor Field, and you know, they were really a good football team. I think the first punt, our first punt, they ran back for a touchdown and it got called back. And I was just thinking, finally, we have the referees on our side. So it was interesting. But we beat them 22-18, and we really took it to them physically, and you know, it was pretty special. It was, you know, that we had done that. And interestingly enough, in 1985, we lost the Prairie Football Conference final to the Hilltops, and they went on to win the Canadian Championship.
Well, it's a very historic moment when you took on Alberta. Now, your bust, the bust that they make for the Hall of Fame, is eternal.
Yeah.
It will sit in the Hall of Fame till eternity, or else the world blows up, one of the two. Are you nervous about, are they going to screw up the bust on you? Because it's going to be there for hundreds of years.
I don't know, man. Like Mark Mueller said, they have to have it with a toque and a mustache. So I don't know. You know, they told me about that, and I had a guy. I think you know him too, Jim Gallagher. They wanted pictures of my head, and so Jim Gallagher is a very, very talented character, and so I had him come over and he takes pictures, and we send them off and make sure. And it was So I don't know. I'm a little nervous about the unveiling of my head. You know? So I guess we'll see what happens. But anyway.
Well, what an honor! I mean, whoever thought this would ever end up like this, Frank? I mean, such a prestigious Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Congratulations on that. And I know Doug McKillop apparently said he's coming down with your entourage. So I just hope Doug doesn't screw something up or act foolish.
I hope he doesn't. You know, sometimes he pretty much, when I'm around him, he pretty does what I tell him to do. So I'll make sure I look after him. And now the other guy, Paul Barnaby's going, and Ed Bankowski is going, and my family's going. The only guy I'm concerned about is Paul Barnaby, because he never listens to anybody. So.
No, that's trouble. That's big time trouble.
Yes.
But I'm the number one guy, other than your family, that I'm glad is going is Bernie Schmidt, because Bernie and you are just, I don't know. There's something about you two guys together.
Yeah, we have been together such a long time, and you know, I'm really glad. Like I said at the beginning of this, you know, it's a we award, not a me award. And Bernie, you know, initially was not sure. He says, "Man, I don't want to go and steal your thunder, or you know, it's your award." I go, "No, man, it's our award, Bernie, and it's really important." And the alumni, the Rams alumni, is making sure that Bernie's there. So
that's really good.
It's really a statement about the team and about the program and how important Bernie was to our program.
Yeah, and like you led the team, Frank. A great confidence, but also great humility, and that's why you were so great. Thanks for joining us on Sportscage. Frank, Sportscage continues in just a moment.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
So, how big is yours?
5 inches.
That's about average. How'd you like 6 inches?
6 inches?
6 inches? That would be a big improvement.
A 6-inch package from Prairie 6-inch eaves trough is made specifically for your farm building. 6-inch eaves troughs are more durable and efficient during storms. They're family owned and operated, so you'll get an honest installation at a fair price. Prairie 6-inch eaves trough, your farm shop specialist. Call 570-6415.
This is where we play. This is where we live. Extreme Hockey and Sport is where we shop when we need the gear for our game in our town. Hockey is in our blood as much as the prairies themselves. Extreme Hockey and Sport understands this. That's why they provide the Saskatchewan Stars of tomorrow only the best. Every level, any budget, expert fit. They're your local sit and fit hockey shop. Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, Regina's hockey shop.
What's going on in the markets? When is the right time to invest? What should you do with your money today? When Margaret had questions, she talked to Brian Gawley.
We have been with Brian right from when the tax-free savings account came into being. He gave us very solid advice.
You don't have to plan your financial future alone. Call Brian Gawley of Smart Investing Solutions. 306-546-2533.
I would not hesitate to recommend him to friend, relative, or anybody else.
620 CKRM and Harvard Media believe in being accountable to you, the listener, which is why we participate in the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. We are committed to upholding the highest standards of broadcast excellence and adhering to the codes and conduct administered by the CBSC. If you have a comment to make about our programming or a concern about something you heard on our station, contact us on our website, 620ckrm.com, or visit the CBSC's website, cbsc.ca.
On the farm, dirt doesn't just get under your fingernails. It runs through your veins. Your equipment is just as tough. You bought it for its rugged dependability and efficient operation. To keep your machinery running as good as the day you bought it, you want genuine AGCO parts, fluids, and filters from Nick Service. Their friendly parts staff has what your equipment needs to keep it running at the top of its game. Keep it genuine at Nick Service, your local genuine AGCO parts headquarters.
Howdy, Wood Country Woody again. You know, you and me ain't so different. We both love to sit on a sunny deck with a cool beverage instead of sanding the thing all the time. And when I heard TimberTech composite decking material is super low maintenance, well, that sold me right there. They didn't even need to mention that it features a sweet little hidden fastener system or that they also have the treated lumber that goes underneath. It's easy, it's pretty, it's TimberTech from Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale, wood-country.com.
The Sports Cage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
And it's Don Hewitt back with Sports Cage, and you won't be surprised to hear this, but I am not the brains of this operation. Not at all, as a matter of fact. Our producer, Colson Schultz, is. He produces the whole show. He does everything behind the scenes. I do not very much, really, to be honest. So let's throw to Colson for a little bit of housekeeping, shall we?
I appreciate the words, Don. You still do a whole lot. I couldn't do this without you. Clutch Performer for today. The name Summer McIntosh ring a bell, Don?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that one before. Well, she's got 2 gold medals so far at the World Aquatics Championships in Singapore. in the 200-meter medley and the 400-meter freestyle.
Yeah.
She's competing in the 200-meter butterfly tomorrow, and there's a few more competitions going on later this weekend. So,
And, I mean, you know Arash better than I do, Arash Madani. He was telling us a year ago, Colson, that at the end of races, she's not even breathing heavily. She's in such phenomenal shape. She doesn't even get tired.
yeah, and I was going to say, once this is all said and done, I'm sure Arash will have a few bits for us explaining everything that went down. But yeah, in the middle of the competition right now, she's got 2 gold medals in her only 2 events she's competed in so far, and I think she set a personal best too in one of them. So, as usual, Summer McIntosh doing her thing. We've also got a few opportunities for you Sportscage listeners to win today. So, as usual, we got SaskTel Pick the Score. You all know the drill. Text in your name, what you think the score is going to be this weekend when the Riders are in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put you all in a big wheel and spin, and whoever gets picked, you will get 2 tickets to the next home game, which I believe that's the 16th, right? Because we have a bye week next after Montreal.
The 16th, we're playing, oh my Lord, I've had a brain fart.
Oh, that's the afternoon game against Hamilton.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Hamilton. Well, the Riders have some big games ahead. We're going to talk to Keith Willoughby later about that. They've got some real winning teams coming right up, and we'll see what
so August 16th is the next home game. So if I pick your score to go into Pick the Score, you get 2 tickets to that August 16th home game. And if your score is the closest, then you win a $200 SaskTel gift card. So Pick the Score is our normal prize that we've always got going on. And then also coming up August 21st to 24th is the Canadian Men's Baseball National Championship. We're hosting it here in Regina. All the info for that is at reginatrappers.ca, but we're giving away tickets to that. So if you want those tickets, text in, and we'll put you in the wheel of winning again. So that's all for housekeeping. Don, back to you.
Well, you did a great job with that housekeeping. And, that's a big event. That's a huge event to have the Baseball Canada Men's National Championship right here in Regina. And, the Riders played some very physical football against Edmonton. That game was very physical. More physicality coming up this weekend in Montreal. Brendan McGuire is on deck. He's swinging the bat. Sportscage continues in just a moment.
It's an F-Series summer this July at Capital Ford Lincoln. Save up to $18,000 on new Ford F-150s. Or lease a Super Crew 4x4 for just $499 a month at 0% for 2 years. Go big on a brand new Super Duty and get up to $15,000 off. And our pre-owned lineup is stacked. Buybacks, lease returns, premium local trades, and more. We're under construction, but we're open for business. It's an F-Series summer, only for a limited time at Capital Ford Lincoln in Regina.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 5050 is presented by ISC.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. Don't just hang a door, install a Steelcraft. Turn curb appeal into curb envy.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
Steel-craft.ca.
You know them as TM Auctions, but Terry McDougall and Tam Kostanek would like to introduce their new name, McBids. Now known as McBids, they will continue to proudly serve Saskatchewan with over 50 years combined experience in the auction and appraisal industry. Experience, trust, and transparency are words they live by, and they will continue to do so as they invite you to join them as they continue their journey as McBids. Give them a call at 306-262-6327 or visit McBids.ca. McBids, same trusted team, bold new brand.
This summer, if you're thinking of a new building, think Olympic Buildings. They're engineered from top to bottom to be better than the rest. Strength, solid design, and impressive good looks are all standard on an Olympic farm building. Visit olympic-buildings.ca.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
Some say the number 13 is bad luck, like walking under a ladder.
Well, 13 is a very lucky number when you're talking Western Pizza. Like their delicious 13-inch pepperoni from Western Pizza. That makes it, well, the luckiest number of all. Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or takeout. Order today.
And get it hot, get it fast. Western Pizza.
This is Sportscage. Be part of the show. Call 936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. 620 CKRM.
And Brendan McGuire appears on the Western Pizza Hotline. It's the pizza that's known worldwide for a reason, loaded with toppings of Western Canadian ingredients and always cooked to perfection. And I know Brendan likes Western pizza just like the rest of us. Brendan McGuire from, well, so many areas. He's in the huddle, 3 Down Nation, and he's also sits under trees with a CKRM hat on. What more can you ask for? Brendan, I think welcome to Cage. Go ahead.
Well, I think the background, beautiful Wascana pool, is a little more picturesque than my hat, but I was pretty stoked to put it on today. I had a meeting with some of the program people about different things today, so I was excited to come on with you.
Well, that's a legendary hat. It looks like it's got some culture now. You talked, I'm sure, with the big wigs about the Regina Rams broadcast. Of course, they're hosting the Vanier Cup. You got to be charged up, Brendan, to be the voice of the Regina Rams when they're hosting the Vanier Cup. The team looks pretty good, does it not? You're going to have a great quarterback battle there.
Yeah, with Owen Sieben and also with Noah Pelche, that'll be interesting. The defense was just lights out last year. That was a big reason why they got to the Mitchell Bowl. Lost a few really good players, but overall the foundation's all still intact. So this is a team that's built largely for 2025. So I'll be excited to see the fruits of the labor of Coach Mark McConkey and his staff once camp gets going and regular season kicks off late August.
And from what I understand, Mark's happy with his recruiting as well during the off-season.
Well, I've been taking the whole off-season off, so I haven't talked to him about that yet. But when you're hosting a national championship on a year like that, if you can't find players who want to come to your program, I'm not sure that there's another year where you will find players who want to come to the program. I was listening to you having Frank on a little bit earlier, and as we all know, there's a great laundry list of star talent that have come through the University of Regina, and even just the Rams before the university affiliation, but never before have they had the drawing card of hosting a national championship in their own backyard like they're doing this year.
And the fact is they were the second best team in youth sports last year because they went down to the wire with Laval in the Mitchell Bowl last year. You called a great game and had some great features on that broadcast. Then they went into the Vanier Cup, and it was sort of, I don't know about a cakewalk, but the Rams definitely gave Laval the harder competition, the tougher competition. So, there's hope, and the Rams had a hell of a football team last year. But let's now go from the Rams to the latest CFL news right now, Brendan, and that is, Vernon Adams Jr. not playing in Ottawa for Calgary. And now Zach Collaros is not playing against the Argonauts at home either. He's also 2 starting quarterbacks will not be playing this weekend. Every time I watch the Hamilton Tiger Cats, I watch Kenny Lawler make these spectacular grabs, and every time I think, how do Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans feel about this? They lost Kenny Lawler to Hamilton, and why? Well, be careful how much you pay your quarterback. Because obviously Winnipeg lost some pretty good free agents because Zach Collaros is the highest paid player in the CFL. And with Zach having a tough year so far, it exasperates because of their salary cap structure in Winnipeg, does it not?
Oh, I would have to think so. And let's not forget, they pay a pretty good dollar to their running back over in Winnipeg, too, Brady Oliveira, having a ratio changer. And, maybe they just looked at it and said, well, he's somebody that we can replace. The last time he tried to leave us, it didn't go so well when he went to the Edmonton Elks. So, you know how there are some players who are meant to just play with one team? It's like in the NHL, Luc Robitaille was never any good except when he was in Los Angeles. He had the one. He did win a Stanley Cup and score 30 goals 1 year with Detroit. So I lost a bet on that, actually. That's a whole other discussion. But, you know, there's other players like Mike Saunders in the Canadian Football League had some so-so years with other teams, but when he was in Saskatchewan, he was dynamite, and he was aging when he came back, and the magic was still there. So maybe the Blue Bombers thought that Kenny Lawler was just one of those players, but the connection that he's had with Bo Levi Mitchell has been undeniable. I don't know that anybody knew for sure that Bo was going to rediscover his touch. We saw a lot of signs of it late last year, and it's really carried over into this year. And, you know, on the TV show this week, I just threw out a really lazy poll question. You know, should the Riders be at the top of the power rankings? And I said on air, of course they should be. They're 6-1. But then it was pointed out, no, not necessarily. The Cats right now would be really, really tough to beat, even for that Rider defense at Mosaic Stadium.
And you got to give Scott Milanovic, the head coach of the Tabby Cats, a lot of credit because the job he's done with Bo.
Yeah, he really has, and he's been patient too, right? Like, some of us thought that Milanovic would be the perfect guy to coach the Saskatchewan Roughriders going into last offseason, and some of us thought he would be the obvious odds-on favorite. Remember, Milanovic has a good relationship with Trevor Harris from their time in Toronto, and then a big reason why Milanovic walked away from his job where he was the quarterback's coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars was because he wanted the opportunity to coach Trevor Harris with Edmonton. But that season got wiped out because of COVID, and then the job opportunity came along with Indianapolis, and Milanovic left, and it just wasn't meant to be. So it seemed kind of obvious that the Riders should go after Milanovic, and then in comes Corey Mace, and that all came together. And last year, with the way things went for the Riders and the way the Ticats struggled early on, it just seemed so obvious that the Riders lucked out in ending up with Corey Mason, that Milanovic didn't come out here. And I still think that's the case. I mean, nobody can deny what a great addition Corey Mason has been. But things didn't go well for the Cats till late in the season. And you have to give Milanovic a lot of credit for sticking with his system, sticking with Bo, because there were a lot in Hamilton who were suggesting that maybe it was time to go with someone else. And we're learning that that was such a foolish thought because Bo is just playing lights-out football right now.
Well, of course, I mean, the Riders didn't really luck out. Jeremy O'Day made the call after lots of work. And
he went with his gut, and he was right. He went with his gut, and it was the right thing to do. Oh, totally, yeah,
and
sure.
I don't think he gets enough credit in some respects for making such a great decision. You know, bringing in an individual like Corey Mace, who had never been a head coach in the CFL before, brought him in over another coach that had been a head coach, had the experience. You know, he deserves a lot of credit because I will go out on the limb right now and say in my lengthy lifetime already, I'm sorry to say, Corey Mace is one of the best coaches easily that I've ever seen in Saskatchewan, ever. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's hard to make that declaration when we're now, including playoffs, 27 games in. But I totally see what you're saying. I mean, Kent Austin, in his 1 year, very small sample size, looked pretty good. It was funny. I was at a sports dinner one night when Scott Schultz was there, and he was telling the audience, he says, I don't care how bad Kent Austin looks in Hamilton right now. That 1 year he coached us, he was perfect. And it kind of felt that way, just being around the team. But to your point, I mean, Ken Austin came into a situation that was kind of gravy. I mean, it was tailor-made for someone like him to come in and have success right away. That's not really the case for Corey Mace. Corey Mace came into a situation that looked a little dicey after the two previous years, and just his preparation is great. The way he deals with the players is great. The way he deals with the media is great, and you could even tell at his introductory press conference, Jeremy O'Day was kind of chuckling the whole time. That he's thinking, I so want to work with this guy, and who can blame him? So they hit a home run with that hire. I think it would be pretty hard to argue otherwise.
Well, you always think of Kent Austin as being this amazing quarterback in Saskatchewan because he was. And that drive to win the 89 Grey Cup was one of the greatest drives, if not the greatest drives in the history of Rough Rider football. But Trevor Harris is having such a great year. He's going to pass Kent Austin this season in passing yardage, basically passing stats. He's going to pass him. Kent Austin, I go, wow. Because he did a lot of this with other teams, not just the Rough Riders, but I thought, wow, Trevor Harris is going to pass Kent Austin. It makes you sort of realize how good this dude is.
Yeah, you know what really woke my eyes up to it is one day we had Dan Rasovich on the TV show, and he talked about how Harris really reminded him of Ken Austin. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, they were teammates every year in Saskatchewan. Dan had a front row seat to Kent playing offense, and he would have been sitting on the sideline watching for a lot of that while his defense was getting a breather. So, so that really caught my attention. And when you think about it, Kent didn't have the greatest career when it comes to longevity, I think, in that era, because he took a lot of hits, remember? And he was a tough SOB, and he would hang in the pocket. But, he got the ball out quickly. But at the same time, that was a different era when quarterbacks got abused a lot more than they do today. And Kent, I remember, he had his 7 years in Saskatchewan. I made the point that some players are just meant to play for one organization and not bounce around. Kent went out to BC, and he had a pretty good year. I think he passed for 5,000 yards, and they did win the Grey Cup. But it was Danny Mack's team, really, in the end, not Ken Austin's, in that Grey Cup 94 when they beat Baltimore. And then he went to Toronto, struggled there, went to Winnipeg, struggled there. The longevity just wasn't there. And Kent's career had pretty much wound down by the time he was 33, maybe 34. What fascinates me about Trevor Harris is this guy's almost 40. And he's playing his best football, and I used to view it as a real negative that the National Football League has all these extra spots and practice roster spots. I actually think it helps the CFL that most NFL teams don't use 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and there's a lot of opportunities for guys to hang around. There are a lot of players who will just hang around, but maybe that's okay. Maybe Henry Burris is the template. Henry Burris only had 1 year full of starts by the time he was 30. When he signed with the Calgary Stampeders, I think he had played a season and change worth of starts because he did the 1 year in Saskatchewan. The rest of the time he was sitting on the bench in Calgary or sitting on the bench in the NFL. And it worked out fine for him in his 30s. So the same has been true for Trevor Harris. He didn't have a lot of reps in his 20s, and I'm wondering if that's helped him in the long run, because there seems to be a little more tread left on his tire.
Yeah, I said last week on Sportscage that it looks like he can play at the age of 40 next season. He's if you take a look at his PFF and whatnot, he's right at the top of the league. In terms of PFF, he is number 1 in the league. He's having a tremendous year, and to say that he couldn't play at 40, right now I wouldn't believe that because of the job he's doing, and he keeps breaking his record every week for his passing percentages. He breaks his own record every week. It just keeps going. So I don't see why he can't play at 40. But anyway, let's get on to another more serious topic, I guess. There was that horrific shooting in New York, where the shooter was apparently trying to get at NFL headquarters in Manhattan. We don't know the whole story. Might it be just mental illness, or he could have possibly had CTE from playing football? Nobody knows. But to me, it sort of brought the CTE issue back because it's sort of floated away in both hockey and football a little bit lately. And it made me think about these Guardian caps. Now, the CFL announced at the end of last year that they had the less concussions in 24 than 23, and part of that was due, I believe they said this as well, that they wear Guardian caps in practice, which is a really good idea. I love it. I don't understand at all. I know they don't look as good as a shiny helmet, and there might be a little weight to them that players don't like. I don't understand why football, both NFL and CFL, don't go to mandate Guardian caps in games. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, isn't it? And they're always very hesitant in professional sport to create their own nanny state where they're legislating some type of safety if the players themselves aren't overwhelmingly on board with it. Last year, I'm pretty sure it was last year, Thomas Bertrand Hudon was the first CFL player to wear one when he came out.
Yes.
And I thought and then I thought that it would become a trend, and it clearly did not. I think we saw more NFL players do it, to be quite honest, even on a per capita basis. But even down there, I'm surprised we don't see more of it. Tua Tagovailoa, I know a lot of fans listening have been following his journey, and a reporter asked him, "Are you going to wear a Guardian cap?" And he said, "Nope," and he got really, really defensive. And I thought, that's just so silly. I mean, silly that he has to explain why he's not going to wear it. He's just going along with the trend. But I also think it's sad that he feels like, it's almost like he's so insecure that he feels like he can't wear a Guardian cap.
It's a macho thing.
It's a macho thing. And the best example is probably in hockey. We had Don Cherry for so many years saying, don't wear a visor. It's better when you don't wear a visor. You perform better when you don't wear a visor. And I think that time has told us that Don Cherry, much of what he spewed was nonsense. I found him entertaining, and that was all great. Yeah. But how many fights did he really get into? How many times did he have to get all his teeth replaced or his eyes fixed? And now in the National Hockey League, if you're going to go without a visor, I can't remember off the top of my head if it's 15 games or 25 games you have to play with a visor first, then you can make that call. And the list of players deciding to go without a visor is very short. So that tells me that you could have mandated it a long, long time ago. It would have been just fine. Some argue that it gets more violent when you have all this protection. I don't buy that. That's what rules are for. That's what referees are for. And why they don't legislate it in, or why we just don't see more players wearing it, I think it's exactly that. At some point, they're just going to have to legislate it in. And you're right. The one excuse that I have heard is that they're a little bit heavy. And I do think that the bigger problems with hockey headgear and football headgear over the years that doesn't get talked enough about is the weight of it. For years, that was heavy to put that gear on. Not so much anymore. But if the Guardian caps are too heavy to wear in a game, then why are they wearing them in practice?
Well,
there's something just doesn't add up here.
Yeah, there's no competitive advantage. Both teams are wearing them, so both teams will have a little bit of weight. I have just one quick comment because Colson's saying we're going overtime, and I hope your daughters are enjoying the pool as well. And my comment is,
tell Colson to go away. We're going to talk football for the full hour here.
Yeah. And he just disappeared. That's crazy. I was going to say, you're back. I was going to say Sean Lemon back with the Montreal Alouettes, and I believe he should be. Brendan, you only have about 20 seconds to make your comment, but I believe he should be because he never bet that the Alouettes would lose a game, and I think the CFL made the right call to bring Sean Lemon back or allow him to play again.
I was always adamant that they shouldn't put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame because his teammate Johnny Bench said, what kind of a message does that send to everybody else? But the fact of the matter is, the way they handled it is consistent with the way the National Football League has been handling these similar situations. And it's not like what Sean Lemon did is even really all that comparable to what Pete Rose did. Pete Rose was in charge of a roster. Pete Rose did it repeatedly, and Pete Rose bet against his own team. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. And Sean Lemon has paid a heavy enough price. He lost a lot of playing time in some of his prime earning years, and he has the humiliation to go along with it. So there's that.
Thanks for joining us from the pool, Brendan. We really appreciate it. Sports Cage continues in just a moment.
Get ready, Saskatchewan. The wildest ride of the summer is back. The 38th Annual Herbert Stampede, August 1st to 3rd. 3 days of heart-pounding, CCA-approved rodeo action, bull riding, broncs, barrel racing, and more. Now with video replay, plus food booths, great entertainment, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the tradition, the thrill, the stampede. Herbert Stampede, August 1st to 3rd. Ride the legend at the Herbert Stampede.
Your Co-op Grow team are your local experts because we live here too. Our agronomic specialists stay up to date with the latest research and technology to help support your entire farm operation. Talk to our team for advice tailored to your farm's needs. We have recommendations to help you optimize your crop yield and quality while enhancing the health of your land. Co-op. We're all growing together. Here for your farm. Here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
So your floor had a meltdown, flood, fire, pet incident, and the contractor says, "Don't worry, I've got a guy." Well, of course he does. At Flooring Superstore, they've been helping folks handle insurance claims for over 20 years. More of a DIY legend, their cash and carry stockpile is massive, and their bulk pricing is so good, it almost feels illegal. It's not. We checked. You should pick your floors, not your contractor's cousin. Flooring Superstore. Quality floor covering at the best price. FlooringSuperstoreRegina.ca.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50-50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50-50 is presented by ISC.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it. I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
It's good to be home.
Mom, what's for dinner? Can we get pizza?
Before Mom even had a chance to get annoyed, she recognized the good idea one of her kids actually had.
Not bad. Not bad.
After a long day when you don't feel like cooking, think Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or takeout. Order today.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
The 620 CKRM Country Corner is brought to you by Glasses TV, your Sastel authorized dealer, and Foster's Audio Video in Carlisle. Get the newest cell phone today with an amazing Sastel rate plan.
Take in all of the fun at Wawota Heritage Days this Saturday. Pancake breakfast, parade, Little Buckers Rodeo Series, Saddle Ridge Petting Zoo, and more. The cabaret features live music from the country band. Full details are on the Wawota Heritage Days Facebook page. The Strongman competition and cabaret in Lemberg is Saturday, August 9th at 1 p.m. Plenty of Strongman events, and you can participate in competitions. The cabaret and the rink features supper from 4:30 to 7 and the Igniters Band. And the story of Merle Haggard comes to the Casino Regina Show Lounge on Thursday, August 14th. An evening of stories and songs featuring Juno-nominated Jess Lee. Tickets at the box office or CasinoRegina.com.
For more information, visit 620CKRM.com. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sports, Regina's locally owned one-stop hockey shop. Now with a price match guarantee. 1425 McIntyre Street.
And in the WCBL tonight, Weyburn Beavers travel to Saskatoon to take on the Berries. Meanwhile, the Moose Jaw Miller Express, 40 minutes away down the highway. They'll be in Regina to battle the Red Sox.
This is 620 CKRM Regina, the voice of Saskatchewan, a Harvard media station, streaming everywhere at 620CKRM.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM News for Echo Sound and Fort Qu'Appelle. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. Nikki Anderson has been officially let go as Regina's city manager. The decision came during City Council's meeting today. Mayor Chad Baczynski read a motion to fire Anderson under Section 87 of the Cities Act. She'll receive severance. Anderson had been on leave since April. She was hired in 2022 after Chris Holden was fired. The motion passed 10-1 with Councillor Shannon Zakidniak voting no. She said residents are tired of leaders being let go with pay. Jim Nickel stays on as acting city manager for now. The Queen City X, presented by SaskTel, begins today at the Real District and runs until Sunday. Gates are open daily from noon to midnight. Canadian ride provider West Coast Amusements brings new rides to both Majorland and Winmar Kittyland. Concerts are included with gate admission. Tonight, Blue Rodeo hits the original 16 stage at 8:30. The fan zone access starts at 7. Admission is $21. Children 12 and under are free from noon to 2 with an adult. Full event details are available at queencityx.com. More people forced out by wildfires in Saskatchewan are returning home this week, but officials warn hot temperatures in the coming days could pose threats. Steve Roberts with the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency says about 700 residents from Beauval and another 200 from Montreal Cree Lake Nation have begun going back to their communities. He says crews are working to contain nearby blazes and douse flare-ups, but hot and windy conditions later this week could cause problems.
We have brought more crews in, including the military resources for this very reason, is we do not see any quick reprieve from what we're facing right now, so there is a lot of fire line, a lot of containment, and still a lot of threat.
The province is reporting 57 active wildfires, including 12 uncontained. About 3,000 people remain displaced in the province due to fires. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September.
Canada has long been committed to a two-state solution. An independent, viable, and sovereign Palestinian state living side by side with the state of Israel in peace and security.
Carney says that recognition is based on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to reforms, including its governance, and it promised to hold general elections in 2026. Dozens of former senior Canadian diplomats called on the federal government to recognize a Palestinian state, saying Israel's conduct in the West Bank and Gaza violates Canada's interests and values. And during the Riders' home game on July 25th, fans gave almost 42,000 pounds of food to the Regina Food Bank. That food came from the Pure Later Tackle Hunger Game Day drive. Supporters brought food, donated money, and used Tap to Donate. The Riders were the first winners of the Chris Schultz Community Impact Award for their support. Pure Later says strong community ties are why the program has helped deliver over 25 million pounds of food to Canadian food banks since 2003. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Let's get out on the water. Now is the best time of year to buy a boat or pontoon at Kevin's Marine. Cast a line in a Lund fishing boat. Take the family out on a Four Winds boat. Or head out on a pontoon by Harris or Crest. Powered by Mercury Motors at the lowest prices of the year. There are manufacturer's rebates, dealer discounts, and low payment financing on a great selection of boats and pontoons. Plus Shoremaster aluminum docks and lifts. Kevin's Marine in Fort Capel. Enjoy your summer. Get out on the water. Stop by or shop online at kevinsmarine.com.
Way to go, Travis Kelce. I mean, son.
As fun as it is watching your 5-year-old run the wrong way or pick dandelions on the football field, what if I told you you could watch your favorite sports or shows on the go anywhere? Well, you can with MaxStream TV from Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer. Take MaxStream anywhere you go.
Oh, wrong way, buddy.
MaxStream and great internet plans available at Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel, echosound.ca.
Precision Weather brought to you by Linex Regina, Serious Protection, Killer Looks, 1865 McCarra Street, and Croft Electric, 27 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all electrical needs. CroftElectric.com and all socials.
A few clouds will pass by from time to time. Some areas of smoke in the air through this evening. In fact, we've seen the air quality over the course of the afternoon deteriorating a bit, but still a lot of better quality air sitting off to our west, and that will tend to work its way in over the course of the day on Thursday. Some cloud cover mixing in. Overall, a mostly sunny day, though. After a low of 11 overnight, we climb back to around 26 during the afternoon. Winds in the 10 to 20 range out of the southeast through the night, and south to southeast 10 to 20 on Thursday. Partly cloudy sky for Thursday night, low of 13. And the wind picks up a little more. Thursday night into Friday. Could be a little bit breezy on Friday afternoon, at least for a short time midday. 20 to 35, and then the wind backs back down into the 10 to 20 range by Friday night into Saturday. Friday's high 27. The weekend features sunshine and 28 degrees on Saturday and 27 on Sunday. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
Croft Electric. You've probably heard of us because we've been around for over 27 years. We do commercial and residential work? Yes. We do permanent holiday lighting? Yes. We do cabins? Yes. And farms? Yes and yes. We're an authorized Generac generator dealer. We are a full-service electrical company with the experience and the people to service all of your electrical needs. We are Croft Electric. We will be here when you need us. Do it right, do it once. Follow us on all social and call 306-586-1333 to book.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
And Don Hewitt back with the Cage, the Dean of the Edwards School of Business at the University of Saskatchewan. Keith Willoughby joins us. And Keith, we have two things in common. We both like the business of sport, or studying the business of sport, and we both like analytics. And we're covered in both areas of analytics. Number one, we're covered with the league and the teams with your computer model analytics. And then the league helps us with their PFF, the analytics on each individual player. So you can't ask for more than that. But it's interesting. You know, I was just reading the other day about the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes. He's a non-hockey guy, Eric Tulsky. He's a scientist and a PhD in chemistry, other things like that. And he just started writing a hockey blog on analytics, and the rest is history. The Hurricanes, he is the general manager. Eric Tulsky makes the Final Four in the NHL. They lose to Florida. Well, everybody was losing to Florida. Now, you know, you've traveled, you've gone to conferences on analytics and whatnot, which are very interesting, and you've been in the States. Is Tulsky the ultimate test case? In other words, you know, a non-hockey guy over a hockey guy is a GM of an NHL team. In other words, if he does well, will you see more of this? Or if he falters, it won't go too well? What do you think of Eric Tulsky that way?
Excellent question, Professor. Two things. Number one, I think should he fail in this venture, I don't think it'll have a dramatic impact on sort of the growth of analytics in sports. You think back to the book Moneyball, Billy Beane, Oakland A's, the movie with Brad Pitt. So we've seen an acceleration in this field for probably about 20 years. But I think the key thing from the hockey perspective is that when you apply analytics in professional sports, hockey to me is the hidden gem. Because unlike baseball, where things happen at very well-defined points, there's a pitch, there's a swing, there's a ball, there's a strike, there's an out. In football, there are possessions. In basketball, there are possessions. Hockey, by its very nature, is the most fluid of all the professional sports that we have in North America, where the puck is constantly changing possession. It's going back and forth. So if you have an individual who could dial into analytics and uncover those hidden gems, those key secrets in hockey, to me, that would really provide an incredible platform for the growth of analytics across the landscape. Because to me, hockey has always been that sport that, just by its very nature, it's hard to really apply the in-depth analytical lenses that we often see in baseball and other sports.
Well, it's interesting. You know, we were talking with Brendan McGuire earlier. Jeremy O'Day, you know, hires Corey Mace with a gut feel. And I guess there's always going to be a combination in reality, is there not? I mean, there is something to be said for a gut feel, say on a hockey player or on a football player, and use the analytics. So would that be correct, do you think?
I think so. Again, I love analytics. I teach it in university. I do research on it at sort of that PhD type level.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, analytics is there has an enabler of success. It doesn't replace human decision making. For whatever reason, Tom Brady was the 199th selection in the 6th round of the NFL draft. He fell like no other player has fallen. But maybe there was just a gut feel that the Patriots had when they selected him. He was somebody obviously who they molded into a quarterback that gave them, 15 years, almost 20 years of incredible success.
Right. I guess analytics can't measure heart, or can it? I mean, that's the one thing.
Exactly. You think, and you've seen it here with I'd say undersized athletes. Think of Weston Dressler. He wasn't 6'4".
Yeah.
Hockey players like Theo Fleury, and we've had other players who might have been undersized, but they were always willing to do everything and anything they could to make sure their team was successful. And sometimes, again, those things are hard to measure. That's why, to me, analytics is a platform for evaluation. It allows you to compare situations, to understand trends and tendencies, but it doesn't replace the human at the core of decision making.
Well, you can, when you look at the PFF in the CFL that the CFL uses, you can sure see it on the field after you've read what these players are doing with their analytics, and you go, yeah, that makes sense. Like the two defensive ends in this last game for the Roughriders, they did both so well in PFF, and and it showed up on the field. So it's an interesting mix. There's no doubt about it. Well, the Riders, let's go to your computer models for this upcoming week. They, have some tough opponents in their next 6 games. I believe the opponents are 18-9, and you've got the computer projecting the Riders to go just 6-5 down the stretch because of that, end up 12-6 and second in the West. So the computer, I suppose it's because perhaps they had a close game with Edmonton. The computer's bringing that into play to say that they're only going to have almost just slightly better than a 500 record the rest of the season.
Exactly. Again, I don't want Rider Nation to turn on me. I'm not a traitor to the green and white. I am a season ticket holder. I go to the football games. I bleed green. I bleed white, and I rejoice when they win, and I'm sad when they lose.
Yes,
but I think if you look at it analytically right now, you've got a situation where the computer model that I've developed, its primary metric is margin of victory. And let's face it, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, other than the home game against BC, the wins have all been by 7 points or less. Again, Ottawa, first game of the year by 5, then Hamilton by 5. Toronto, Mario Alford returns the kick with 9 seconds left in the game for a 7-point victory. I will say the road game in BC was not as close as the 6-point margin would indicate, but then the computer, it just simply looks at the final story. It doesn't see what actually happened during the game. Mm-hmm. And the game against Edmonton, where the Riders had a 17-point lead as the fourth quarter began, Edmonton scores 2 touchdowns, and the Riders win by 3. So that's why the computer doesn't particularly like the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's also the fact that going into the next 6 games, the Riders have Winnipeg twice, Montreal twice, Calgary, and Hamilton, which I would say are, again, even though Winnipeg is 3-3 and Kolaros might be hurt long term, let's face it, they've gone to 5 straight Grey Cups, so they know what they're doing throughout the season. So again, it's a bit of a gauntlet right now for the Riders. The computer model, because the margins have been so close, doesn't really like going forward for the Riders to maintain this torrid pace that sees us plateauing. Again, finishing second to Calgary in the West this season.
Yeah, and Calgary, I guess for the same reasons, the computer really likes Calgary. Still a 49% probability of the Stampeders winning the Grey Cup, according to your model.
Yeah, the Calgary, again, they stubbed their toe against Ottawa in the monsoon game back in July. They lost to Montreal, but they have beaten some stronger opposition. They beat Winnipeg twice, and they beat them handily.
Right.
They beat Saskatchewan in the smoke game handily by 14 points. So Calgary has been able to put together those margins of victory against stronger opponents. that's why the computer really, really likes them. It also likes Hamilton because Hamilton's won 5 in a row. So I think earlier this season, a lot of folks in Rider Nation were thinking the August 16th game against Hamilton was a free space, the bingo card, because we defeated Hamilton in Hamilton earlier this season in June. But Bo is playing like Calgary Bo right now. And the combination of him and Kenny Lawler, Tim White, you're seeing some strong play from Hamilton. So by no means will that be a cakewalk for the green and white.
No, I mean, the computer has Hamilton with a 26% chance of winning the Grey Cup. And even though the computer can't really factor in injuries, the computer has had a tremendous season, Keith. I mean, you've got, you're right, more than, what is it, 10-5? What were you saying? Like the computer's is hot, despite it all.
Exactly. Yeah, I am so risk averse that I never use this for any sports wagering. But the computer has put together some good weeks over the past while. Right now, sitting 10-5. It doesn't like Saskatchewan and Montreal. It's looking at Montreal like a 76% favorite in that game. But it is what it is. The computer has done really well. Even last week, obviously, it got the Saskatchewan Edmonton game correct. It whiffed on Calgary Montreal, but it predicted Hamilton's thrilling victory over BC in Vancouver, and then Toronto. It predicted them to beat Winnipeg, which they did.
And Toronto at 2-5, are they not ranked ahead of Saskatchewan at 6-1 because of all the factors that you've mentioned, which is a lot of people would jump up and down about?
Yeah, I worry for the thousands of members of Rider Nation that are listening here, including Saskatchewan Roughrider executives. Please do not cancel my season tickets. For whatever reason, the computer thinks that Toronto at 2-5 is a stronger team than Saskatchewan at 6-1. And again, it's a case because the computer is looking at a single lens, and that's margin of victory. Toronto coming fresh off a 14-point victory at home over Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan again eking out many of its 5 of its 6 wins have been again by closer margins. So again, I love analytics, but that's where I would sort of give the computer a bit of a kick in the hard drive, so to speak, because I think a logical fan would note that the Riders are, I know they win close games, but they win the games and never make an excuse for victory. Don't make an excuse for winning games, because Saskatchewan, for whatever reason, whether it's Mario Alfred's kick return, East Edmonton controlling the last minute and a half of the clock, Joe Couch has the seeing eye punt, goes out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Tremendous. So the Riders make key plays at key opportunities. And to me, that's the recipe for a winning team.
Well, one final thing, the computer will have its work cut out for it this weekend, because computer has Calgary over Ottawa, 64.6% probability, Winnipeg over Toronto, only 50.2% probability, but now Calgary without Vernon Adams Jr. and Winnipeg without Zach Claros. It'll be interesting to see how the computer gets out of this weekend.
It is, and again, that's where the computer it's looking in the rearview mirror. It sees the previous game, but it doesn't know who's playing. But just for me, Calgary could play John Hufnagel as quarterback, a former Stampeder quarterback. I think they'll beat Ottawa. Winnipeg could bring out Dieter Brock or Don Jonas, and I think they're going to. O'Shea is not going to lose 2 consecutive games to the Argos. So again, even though Collaros and VA aren't playing, the computer loves Calgary, loves Winnipeg, and so do I.
Well, Don Jonas, there's a name from the past. Who'll ever forget Don Jonas? He was good for a while. Thanks a lot, Keith. We really appreciate you joining the Sports Cage. Sports Cage will continue in just a moment.
You need to know what's going on in Regina, so get the scoop with the Regina Today newsletter, your backstage pass to everything happening in the city. It's quick, it's free, it's Regina Unfiltered. Get it straight to your inbox. Find the link to sign up at 620ckrm.com or text news to 306-936-6262 and get the link delivered right to your phone. Regina Today from sastoday.ca. Don't miss out.
Get ready, Saskatchewan. The wildest ride of the summer is back. The 38th annual Herbert Stampede, August 1st to 3rd. 3 days of heart-pounding, CCA-approved rodeo action, bull riding, broncs, barrel racing, and more. Now with video replay, plus food booths, great entertainment, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the tradition, the thrill, the stampede. Herbert Stampede, August 1st to 3rd. Ride the legend at the Herbert Stampede.
Look over here, apples. Now look over here, oranges. Let's compare them.
Hey, you can't compare apples and oranges. What you can compare is Freeze Tallman's pricing on decking, railing, and fencing to all the big box stores. If you need a decking, railing, or fencing job this season and want to shop local, then Freeze Tallman in Regina and Fort Capel is exactly what you're looking for. Heck, they even deliver. There's no comparison.
Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
You know them as TM Auctions, but Terry McDougall and Tam Kostanek would like to introduce their new name, McBids. Now known as McBids, they will continue to proudly serve Saskatchewan with over 50 years combined experience in the auction and appraisal industry. Experience, trust, and transparency are words they live by, and they will continue to do so as they invite you to join them as they continue their journey as McBids. Give them a call at 306-262-6327 or visit mcbids.ca. McBids, same trusted team, bold new brand.
Play ball! Come on out this evening and watch some exciting baseball. First pitch is 7 p.m. at Curry Field as the Regina Red Sox take on the Moose Jaw Miller Express. It's also First Responders Night. Exciting Red Sox baseball. Fun for the whole family this evening at 7 p.m. at Curry Field. Go to ReginaRedSox.com for tickets. Sponsored by Regina Pats and Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association.
Employee pricing is back at Capital GMC in Regina.
Capital GMC!
What does it all mean?
You pay what we pay.
And it means savings up to $12,000 on new Sierra 1500s and savings up to $20,000 on new HDs. Or take advantage of 0% financing on select models. Or check out our certified pre-owned inventory. They all come with 30-day exchange privilege, manufacturer's warranty, and more.
Do not miss employee pricing
at Capital GMC in Regina.
Farmery Consignments in Kamsack has just lowered the prices on low-hour, late-model John Deere four-wheel drive tractors. Even more. Choose from two 2023 9R 640s, 203 hours to 296 hours, and you can now buy it for $725,000 and $729,000. Buy at below wholesale prices. All tractors carry John Deere warranty and are in new condition. See Farmery in Kamsack or call 306-542-2000.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steel Craft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
Don Hewitt filling in for Barney on Sportscage. Barney will be back tomorrow with a Sports Ticker. CFL schedule this weekend: Calgary and Ottawa tomorrow night. Friday night, Toronto travels to Winnipeg. Then a doubleheader on Saturday. Hamilton in Edmonton, Saskatchewan, of course, going down east against Montreal. Up next, the commissioner of the Western Hockey League, Dan Neer. Sportscage continues in just a moment.
Farmery Consignments in Kamsack has just lowered the prices on low-hour, late-model John Deere four-wheel drive tractors. Even more. Choose from two 2023 9R 640s, 203 hours to 296 hours, and you can now buy it for $725,000 and $729,000. Buy at below wholesale prices. All tractors carry John Deere warranty and are in new condition. See Farmery in Kamsack or call 306-542-2000.
Hey, let's hit up Pump Jack's Cathedral.
Pump? You talking about my basketball shoes?
No, Pump Jack's Cathedral.
Who?
Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. They're open now. They've got a large selection